onto, this is the rhomboid major, there's a rhomboid minor we're not going to get into, and this attaches onto the vertebral border of the scapula. Again, it's uniarthroidal, only crosses one joint. Again, that is built more for stability. They have to hold postures for a long period of time, and I'll get into why that's important in a second. And again, they're deep. The bicep, on the other hand, is got two origins. The supraglenoid, tubercle, you don't need to know, and the coracoid process, they all come down to the radial tuberosity of the radius of the forearm. So they cross the shoulder joint as well as the elbow joint, so they produce movement. So if we're talking about a strength training program, we want to emphasize for posture, we want to do rows, but holding the position for a good amount of time, like maybe 30 seconds to a minute. But remember, they're not really designed for heavy loads because they're more postural. So you're going to hold that for a longer period of time. So rather than doing isotonic or movement, you just hold the posture for like maybe 30 seconds to a minute or even 2 minutes. But if we want to stretch the pecs or the chest if we're forward, you know, the typical stretch, I'm going to go over these in a second. The typical stretch that people do is, you know, this corner stretch, and they just go into it like that. So my bone of contention there is we need to strengthen the muscles in the back. What good is stretching a muscle passively or actively if you don't have the strength in the opposing muscles? Some people call it the antagonist, the muscles in the back, the mid-back, to hold that posture. So it's one thing to stretch it, but it's another thing to actually strengthen the muscles that promote that posture. If I don't have the muscle strength in my upper back, I'm just going to go forward again because I don't have that potential strength to hold me there. Does this ever happen to you? You're walking down the street and all of a sudden you feel like you're going to roll your ankle, but you catch yourself. You catch yourself. How does that happen? Unfortunately, some people don't catch themselves and they get what they call an inversion sprain. But for the most part, a lot of people know what I'm talking about. You're ready to roll the ankle and then you quickly bring it back into neutral so you don't sprain the ankle. What is going on a physiological level? Well, first we have to think about protection. The body is always on protection. What's it trying to protect? Overstretching of those muscles on the outside of the ankle. So the body has this system with these receptors that are in the muscles that communicate with the central nervous system and actually cause the muscle to contract, and it puts it back into neutral. We call that the stretch reflex. So the ability that these receptors can send the signal back to the central nervous system and back into the muscle to cause it to contract, to put that foot back into neutral. That ability to do that is called proprioception. We get the extrafusal fiber, the part that attaches to the bone, causes the contraction, and then inside, what we talked about is the muscle spindle main function is to monitor changes in length, which is differentiating stretches between the tonic strategy for stretching a tonic muscle versus stretching a phasic muscle. They are different, folks. And that is on a hamstring, on a phasic muscle. So how do we shut this guy off? How do we shut a phasic muscle off? We can't use the same strategies, folks, as we do with a tonic muscle, okay? So next lecture, we're gonna talk a little bit about more on the strategies. And believe it or not, the core, activating the core can really bypass a lot of this stuff. And we're going to get into that on the next lecture. We're going to get into different types of stretching that goes beyond this elementary version of PNF, which is, I call this bastardized PNF. But next time we're going to talk about strategies to turn these hamstrings off and find out the reason why, which is more important, the hamstring got tight in the first place. And we're going to talk about that next time. Stay tuned, folks. Lower cross syndrome, we're talking about lower cross syndrome right now. And it's characterized by tight muscles and weak muscles. The tight muscles are on this part of the X. The erector spina muscles here, the lower back, tight. Iliopsoas muscles, the muscles that are on the ilium here as well as the psoas major, which attaches to the first 5 vertebrae and attach onto what they call the lesser trochanter of the femur, okay? If those are tight, it can actually cause a lot of that anterior tilting, coupled with weak abdominals and weak glutes. The posterior pelvic tilt is just the opposite. The muscles of the rectus abdominis and the gluteus in the hamstrings will actually cause the pelvis to rotate this way. And what do you think happens when this is pulling this way and this is pulling this way? It causes rotation. That's called a force couple, by the way. When one force is going in one direction and another force is going in the opposite direction, that's called the force couple, and it causes rotation. So when that goes into that posterior rotation position, it'll actually loosen up those hamstrings. It takes the tension off of them. I want to strengthen the feet, I want to strengthen the abs, and I want to strengthen the glutes, because that all has a lot to do with realigning the pelvis so the hamstrings can take off that tension. That's it. And come up. Notice that his knee is locked at 5 degrees. He's not. Some people will, let's do it wrong. Let's bend the knee and down. And that's not wrong, but it's just doing more of a squat pattern versus a deadlift pattern. And we want to really get the glutes versus the quads, okay? So coming down, and that would be the first step, is just get the pattern down. Keep the right one down. Now, as you can see, hopefully you can see that difference. It's amazing. It's awesome. I do this. This is a great exercise to strengthen the abs in a movement pattern that's important for real life. I'm going to see if I can touch my toes standing. Let's see if I can. Everybody seems to be fixated on if they can touch their toes. If you ask somebody how flexible you are, some people will touch their hands on the floor. Some people will just come down to here. So we're talking about hamstrings again. But let's see if we tried to actually do it in a different position, in a long sitting position. I can touch my toes. Interesting, right? Why? Well, that's what we're going to go over today. One of the very many things we're going to. Now come down on the diagonal pattern. Come down, come down, come down. Reach. Go far as you can, Gary. Go far as you can. Hold it. Now go the other way. All the way. Go back as far as you can. As far as you can. Hold that. Now come down. One more time. Push. Good. Now let's try to see how if that. Keep the back straight. Reach for the toes. Yeah, that's better. That's better. That's how I do PNF versus lie on your back. Just like straight. You see people doing this. And what you're going to do is, what most people do is say, Gary, I want you to push down on my hands. Push down to straighten the leg. Keep the knee straight. This is what's being marketed as PNF on the internet. It's straight plane, it's not moving in diagonal planes, and it's not taking advantage of those 3 concepts that I introduced: excessive induction, reciprocal inhibition, and irradiation, okay?